you ever seen a stand-up special that starts as a hilarious roast of modern America and ends with a man sobbing to Taylor Swift as he faceplants on a hiking trail? If not, buckle up. Today, we're diving into Marc Maron Panicked, the 2025 comedy special that takes anxiety, converts it into laughter, and at the same time lays bare some raw nerves that most people try to ignore. We're breaking down the stories, characters, and, oh yes, the epic emotional collapse at the top of a mountain that brings this set to its wild, cathartic conclusion. Marc Maron doesn't ease into Panicked. He blasts off with a machine gun riff on the state of American politics, lampooning the chaos after making everything great again became a nightmare reality. Maron's descriptions are sharp. He calls out political leaders, tech billionaires, white nationalists, and what he calls unfuckable hate nerds, all adding up to a panorama that's as comic as it is horrifying. You can hear the frustration behind every punchline, and that's a recurring rhythm for the hour. Maron repeatedly pulls humor from the abyss of his cultural panic. He's bemused, angry, and almost in awe at how people seem to settle for fascism faster than a liberal can pick a fight at a barbecue. From there, Maron skewers the seemingly endless cycle of outrage and online boycotts, mocking the idea that you can really live Amazon-free, or that your life will finally have meaning if you etch "This vacuum kills fascists" onto your new appliances. And yet, despite the outlandishness, he always circles back to self-awareness. He knows he used the R word in satire and anticipates the emails he'll get from progressives calling him out on it, turning the moment into a slyly biting critique of liberal infighting and eternal buzzkill syndrome. But if you think Panicked is just another political rant, you're missing Maron's deeper game. He goes from the macro to the intensely micro. Personal anxiety. He dissects the liberal conundrum with a story about his favorite brand of soy milk, a brand that, as it turns out, supports pro-life causes. Cue several tormented hours of inner dialogue before Maron shrugs and admits he'll keep drinking it but never enjoy it again. That's the progressive curse, always aware, never quite satisfied. Slipping from sociopolitical neurosis into personal madness, Maron confesses he's a lifelong overthinker. Catastrophic thoughts are his constant companion. If his phone pings wrong or his girlfriend doesn't text back, he's already picturing her dead in a ditch. Meanwhile, he's wondering if his cat, Charlie, has found a way to hang himself on a window shade. This relentless, looping worry, he explains, made him turn to psychiatry. The diagnosis, not depression but obsessional anxiety. The solution, maybe a special anti-anxiety drug that usually doesn't work, which naturally is the one Maron prefers. That sounds perfect for me. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work. Wherever Maron's brain goes, so follow we. And next, the special's centerpiece to his panicked, ridiculous wildfire evacuation. In some of his sharpest storytelling to date, Maron recounts how a fire app, a confused painter, and poor judgment had him racing to evacuate, hustling his 3 cats into makeshift carriers, a hamper, an Amazon box, and just one actual cat carrier. He races through the house, gets all the cats into the car, and evacuates to a Petco parking lot, then a Hampton Inn hotel. The vividness of this story isn't just in the absurdity. Cats pooping in their respective boxes, lugging a cash-stuffed go bag. The awkwardness of sneaking 27 cats past hotel reception, but in Maron's self-deprecation. He pieces together the depths of his anxiety, contrasting himself with his neighbors who didn't even notice the fire. The punchline: there was no mandatory evacuation. Maron just freaked out and spent a night in the hotel for absolutely no reason except that his panic got the better of him. And in classic Maron fashion, he wrings lessons from the ordeal. He now knows he can box up any cat in a crisis, and he got rid of an old hamper. One errand finally checked off the list. It's both ridiculously funny and sneakily profound, but the real heart of Panicked is not just anxiety about the world, but about losing things: parents, partners, youth, security. Maron delves into his aging father's dementia, finding the dark humor in family arguments over bullets, vengeful murder fantasies, and ultimately realizing that all you need is a little perspective, and possibly a facility where seniors can introduce themselves to each other all day long. Maron's wry observations about the elderly, that at some point you have to let go of who they were and just deal with what is, are surprisingly sweet amid the sarcasm. In a signature Maron twist, he tackles childhood trauma with brutal honesty and dark comedy. He discusses an abusive babysitter, squashed lunches, his mom's failed Cub Scouts effort, and the overwhelming conclusion that dietary pills in your sandwich bag are, in his view, worse than attempted molestation. His point is not to trivialize trauma, but to show how everyone is walking around with their own personal brand of it, and that finding the humor in the darkness can be, in itself, a way of coping. When the personal gets too heavy, Maron punctures the tension with lighter bits. He riffs on his cat's asshole behavior and the challenge of living with animals that probably don't care if you live or die. His routines about posture, death, burial, and even what should happen to his ashes mix genuine vulnerability with quick wit. He weighs the pros and cons of burial, cremation, and green burial, eventually relishing the idea that some future kid might find his head buried in the backyard. That's a big day. The day you find a head. All this circles back to the special's major existential question: what is happiness, anyway? Maron admits he's not sure he's ever felt it. Maybe the closest he gets is finding out his AirPod still works after he fished it out of the cat's water dish. There's a running theme: happiness is fleeting, often ridiculous, and not always worth the stress we put into seeking it. The emotional climax arrives with Maron's story of passing out at the top of a mountain, worn out by grief, and, in a kind of accidental surrender to the feels, he listens to Taylor Swift's "Bigger Than the Whole Sky" on repeat while hiking, dissolves into tears, and promptly blackouts. When he wakes up, face smushed in the gravel and Taylor singing "Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye," he finally experiences a bizarre form of peace. The recognition he's not afraid of death anymore. Not if it's quick, and he gets at least a few minutes of cathartic pop music on his way out. Wrapping up, Maron stands before his audience and acknowledges that maybe his relevance is fleeting. He jokes about the half-life of a stand-up bit. Maybe someone will remember it while making coffee, or butcher the joke at a party months later, wondering if it was ever funny. He knows he'll never single-handedly sway the tide of fascism or change a Nazi's mind, but he still believes in challenging himself and his audience to confront uncomfortable truths, panic attacks, trauma, and, yes, even the hidden empathy behind every joke. In the end, Marc Maron's Zero Panicked isn't just about being overwhelmed, anxious, or lost in a burning world. It's about what it means to keep going, to laugh, to cry, to box your cats and run from non-existent fires, and somehow to find meaning, if only for a punchline, a fleeting victory, or an AirPod rescued from the water dish. It's as much a testament to resilience as it is to panic itself. So, what did you think? Does Maron's blend of neurosis and dark comedy strike a chord with you, or is it just too close to home? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about that insane cat evacuation story, your wildest anxiety spirals, or your own vacuum kills fascists moments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit like, share it with any Maron fans or anxious cat owners you know, and subscribe for more deep dives into comedy specials, films, and stories that just can't stop panicking. Thanks for watching. See you next time.